Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. Sitting across from me, Troy Brittingham.
And sitting across from me is Jeff Ackerman.
Love the energy, buddy.
And sitting across the U.S. is Chris Carroll.
Ooh, yay, Chris! Woo! Chris, thank you.
So what are we covering this week?
We are covering the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, which is not a mouthful or a terrible phrasing
rings,
at all.
double rings, onion rings,
Episode 3.
Sonic rings.
Things are getting
Let's just call it rope.
Bling.
Let's just call it rope. R-O-P.
That's not... whatever.
Shooting ropes on the podcast.
Ew. Theme song.
TB&J!
That was gross, Troy. Nobody wants to hear about you shooting ropes all over my podcast.
TB&J!
I had a major misunderstanding.
So, Troy,
about what this was. Yes?
Troy, what's this here? I hear about you shooting ropes on the podcast?
Yeah, I thought that was the interesting subject of the week, right?
Yeah, totally. That's
Yeah, let's forget about this whole TV and movie nonsense.
yeah. Let's just talk about.
Let's hear more about Troy's penis.
All right. So, if you're new here, I don't know why you started with this episode, but just in case.
Also, welcome with that intro.
Also, yeah, sure. So the rules of the internet state things are either good or bad. So we give every episode of TV or movie we watch a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Is it good or is it bad? So we'll start off with Chris because he's the furthest away geographically. Chris, thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's a thumbs up. I enjoyed the episode.
Troy, you're the next closest geographically.
I guess I'm farther from you than you are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thumbs up.
I'm also thumbs up.
Everybody knows that Jeff is the center of the world.
Absolutely. Thank you for finally acknowledging it after 26 years, Christopher. So, thumbs up all around for this episode. Chris, you were a little on the fence about this show last time we talked. What changed your mind?
So, before we get into that, I actually wanted to ask you two, because you're also covering House of Dragon.
I am. Troy is not.
Okay, a big discourse that I've been seeing online is, House of Dragon is pushing this one out of the water, like it's better than it, and everybody seems to be filleting the directors of House of Dragon, and we all know how season 8 of Game of Thrones ended. So,
yes.
How does House of Dragon measure up to this show, and should people be watching that instead?
So, I firmly believe that there is so much entertainment in the world that you don't need to compare things because you can just watch whatever you want. However, that being said, that doesn't make for a good podcast. So sure, I'll compare them. House of the Dragon is more, it depends on how you like your fantasy, right? And this is a situation where I really wish D, another one of our co-hosts, was present because D famously hates high fantasy. He cannot stand it in his media, and yet he was completely drawn into Game of Thrones when it was on air. He actually got me into Game of Thrones, and now we are watching House of the Dragon together. But Game of Thrones, while it is a fantasy setting and the speech is very much like high and mighty, it's not super duper. It's more about like families fighting for power, and there's like just the teeniest pinch of magic in the world. And now in this show, there's fucking dragons, so I mean, it's more high fantasy. But it's just like murdering and raping and consensual sex as well, and just a bunch of terrible people doing terrible things to each other, and you're just watching along for the ride. Whereas Lord of the Rings is a much higher fantasy thing with elves and ancient languages and a whole map of hard-to-pronounce cities that you have to name and remember, and it's such a different world entirely.
You might be able to let your kids watch it.
You can definitely watch Lord of the Rings with your kids, depending on how you feel about violence. It's America, so, you know, kids get exposed to violence as soon as they can
I
walk
don't know.
through the
None of
doors
those characters
school.
had guns.
Yeah. Could you imagine if the elves just had guns against Sauron? He just wow, that was
fucking
easy.
defeated
Captain.
Morgoth due to our plethora of AR-15s. Our assault rifle 15s. The 15th assault rifle.
Yes.
That's what it stands for.
Galandria. She's also a member.
Email in if you know that that's what AR-15 stands for, Sorifa 15.
Yes, that's not what it stands for.
No, it does.
That's not actually.
It does. The conservatives
was
are
completely
wrong.
different when the Orokai started loading up howitzers.
Just tanks just rolling across Mount Doom, because why not? Don't fly, you fools, in the F-15s that I have currently in Osgiliath.
Also, unrelated to that, Jeff, I really, you did convince me that I really do want a podcast where it's our movie opinions, but we just kind of every week just go, you know what do you think about it? And just for like 45 minutes, just like, it's your own opinion. And then we just end the podcast.
Yeah.
We don't say anything.
So we have a conversation with the listener, and they talk to us in the empty
think?
space.
Did you like this?
Like an interactive medium. Veto. I'm just gonna go on record. Veto. That sounds terrible. I'm sure it wouldn't be too bad to edit that, because it's just 45 minutes of silence. But if you like your high fantasy, if you like your clear-cut good versus evil, then Lord of the Rings is definitely for you. Game of Thrones, there is no good and evil. It's just shades of gray, which a lot of people enjoy as well, because they don't want to be told who to root for sometimes, and I get that. They just want to root for the characters they like the most and see them do good things and terrible things and murder people and chop off heads, and that's great. If that's for you, awesome, go watch that. But if you'd rather watch, I'm on a, personal mission to destroy all the evil because my brother was murdered, and then great, go watch Lord of the Rings. Or don't watch either and stop listening to the podcast.
Also, one thing that I heard back on Chris's, that was on Chris's topic, but on the topic of people saying that House of the Dragon's like blowing it out of the water. People were like, yeah, everybody's watching House of the Dragon. Everybody thinks House of the Dragon good, and like everybody thinks that Lord of the Rings is bad, and nobody's watching it. It's the highest viewed thing put on. It's the highest viewed premiere ever on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
so people are watching it.
Yeah, it is a whole lot of bullshit.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
And I think it's very good that people are comparing House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings together, because it means that Netflix and Amazon are competing, which is a good thing.
HBO and Amazon.
Oh, is it HBO?
Yeah, Game of Thrones is an HBO.
I thought it was on Netflix.
Nope. Game of Thrones is owned by HBO.
You
Always
fool.
has been. And
you know what? That makes sense because of all the nudity and sex.
Yes. It's also funny you bring that up, because people have been speculating, oh, finally, a good HBO Max show. No, actually, it's very different. So, Game of Thrones and House of Dragon, respectively, they are under the umbrella of the Home Broadcasting Office Corporation. They are actual HBO productions for HBO, the channel, whereas other shows like Harley Quinn are made for HBO Max. So they are actually two different production houses. HBO is the one where you get the big box office budgets and shit, and then HBO Max is like the Netflix branch of HBO. So that's where you're going to get your Harley Quinns, and you're going to get your fucking I can't name another HBO Max original off the top of my head, but that's where you get your lower
Lovecraft
budget.
Country.
Yeah, sure.
One amazing episode. They made more though.
Yeah, but that's where you get
it is a series, not a movie.
Your lower, but it's also home box office. I don't know what I said. Home broadcasting office. No, it's home box office. But yeah, HBO is the big budget guys, and they're the ones doing House of the Dragon. It happens to be on HBO Max because HBO owns both, and they're not dumb enough to not put it on HBO Max immediately.
Is that what that stands for? HBO?
Home box office. Yeah.
I thought it stood for Hamburger Operator.
No, it's Hamburglar Operations.
Oh no,
it's the Hamburglar. He's at it again.
Oh no,
Robble. Remember that from Peacemaker?
So back to the original question. I was right in that the Aaron Deere storyline was probably going to be the most interesting.
Oh, we got some orcs this week, fellas. We got fucking orcs, and
we got orcs. We got wargs. We saw a real good puppy tear some people apart.
A real good puppy.
Good boy.
He's just being a good boy.
Yeah, real good boy.
Good boy doing good boy things, giving us entertainment. And then mean old Aaron Deere chains him to a stump.
Yeah, and then Aaron Deere almost escapes, but manages to get pulled back into the trench by the orcs, and they want him to go meet Adal, I think his name is?
Adar.
Adar. Adar, who is the leader of this band of orcs, at least, who is trying to... I mean, theories abound right now, but they're tunneling underneath these cities in the Southlands because they're looking for that sword that the idiot kid has, right? There's no way they don't know it's here, right? Chris?
I mean, evil always seems to find its evil thing, so maybe they put like an air tag on it.
An air tag? Mordor just has like little air tags all over all their shit, and it's like, oh, that's where I left my car keys. There they are. No, but it would make sense if that's why they're tunneling under all of these cities to look for the sword, because it got lost in the battle that happened down there when Morgoth was defeated. But like, I can't find another reasonable explanation why they're just blindly digging out underneath towns and villages. So I'm wondering if it's all about that sword, and if so, the tunneling might end up leading Arondir back to Healer Lady chick that he wants to bang and her little brother who has the sword, and then that storyline will culminate in whatever happens. I don't see Arondir having a good happy ending to this. He's definitely getting
absolutely.
Yeah, he's getting capped, no question about that. It's just a matter of when. However, he's a real fucking good hand-to-hand combat guy. That was an incredible fight scene. He did really well, even though he lost.
Good old chain smack off.
Chain smack off against a bunch of orcs with weapons. Also,
is a chain smack off sort of like pushing rope?
Bringing it back to
he
penises.
pushed rope all over the orcs.
Chris, I meant to ask you. So I don't seem to remember. It's again, we said it in the last episode. It's been a little while since I've seen the movies. Are orcs like terrified or hurt by sunlight? Is that a thing? I mean,
I don't remember it coming up much during the trilogy.
Yeah, I just remember armies of orcs just fighting.
It definitely wasn't in The Hobbit.
Isn't that why they made the Uruk-hai, because they weren't?
Oh, you know what?
Have the weaknesses of orcs.
That's a good point. Saruman made the Uruk-hai.
God.
From
we should really do some research.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
Well, to be fair, do people really know that much information about Lord of the Rings? I don't think that anybody's going to be honest for this, right?
You are wrong.
I mean, we all know that everybody's not watching Lord of the Rings; they're watching House of Dragon.
It does help that nobody watched the show and it has no money behind it.
Oh, absolutely! Isn't it like the biggest budget for a premiere ever?
It is the highest budget for a show ever.
Yeah,
isn't it like over $1 billion?
Yes.
Yeah, Amazon sunk just a blank check into this show. Which I was reading, actually, this is relevant to the show as well. Did you know the showrunners, this is their first show they've ever done?
They're doing a really fucking good job.
It's the first show they've ever done because they shared their image of the show at a pitch meeting with Amazon execs and the grandson of Tolkien, who's the head of the estate. And the grandson really liked what they had to say. And he was like, these guys, pick these guys. So Amazon did. And, I mean, that's the simplified version. But yeah, so because Tolkien's grandson really liked what direction they're going in with their show, that's how they got the gig. Amazon wasn't really going to give it to them because they don't have any real body of work behind them.
Could you imagine somebody walking into your office and going, I want to make this show and I want... And they're like, I want the highest budget for any TV show.
I want
and they
infinite money to do it.
They go, yeah, sure. They're like, what have you done? It's like, nothing. All right, yeah, go for it.
Meanwhile, there's just like the old man who's secretly in charge, like, I like that kid's spunk. He's got it. You give him this job. And then Bezos is like, but, and he's like, I don't care. It's like, all right.
Jeff, please.
It was part of the...
Let's not talk more about people's spunk.
There's been enough spunk talk on this podcast.
Yeah, let's not talk about spunk. Let's talk about how Arondir shoots heavy ropes at the
chains.
That's what chains are, is it not?
Heavy ropes. I mean, you're not wrong, but I want to say you're wrong.
What is a chain, but not a heavier rope?
So, yeah, name a heavier rope. You can't. Oh, wait.
Fuck you. What do you guys think of Galadriel's little side quest happening in Nuremdor? What's the city's name, Chris?
Numenor.
You had all the right sounds. They were just all in the wrong places.
That's the thing with Lord of the Rings. Like, I really, really love the world, but I can't pronounce shit.
Well, not to mention that there's like 3 or 4 characters now, all with like EL names.
Yup. I can't remember the sea captain's name, but he's got an L something name.
He has a very similar name to
Elrond, whose brother is Elros, who built the Hall of Lore.
And we just got away from what's his name? We just talked about it. Elendor or
Arendir.
Arendir.
Arendir is an A, I think. It
Is
just
it?
sounds similar. It's Aro, Arendir, yeah. Because I watch TV with subtitles, so they spell
I did
Arendir
too.
on
That's
screen.
why I thought it was an A, but I
No,
could
it's
be
an
wrong.
A. It's an A.
I could be an
Arondir.
idiot. I can't read.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. You can't read.
Mm-hmm.
There's your disability out in the open for everybody. We aren't an actual company, so HIPAA laws don't apply.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, that guy's name was Elendil, and he's the father of Isildur.
Yes, so we did see young man Isildur in this episode as well. Isildur famously cutting off the ring finger of Sauron and capturing the ring and defeating the Dark Lord, but he was overcome with the power and could not cast it into the fire. So Agent Smith was like, no!
Who was Agent Smith in canon?
Yeah, in canon, he's Hugo Weaving is always Agent Smith. He's just portraying a different version of himself.
Sometimes he looks like Megatron, still Agent Smith.
Sometimes he looks like Red Skull, still Agent Smith.
Did you know that he doesn't know who Megatron is?
Really?
Yeah.
Hugo Weaving doesn't know who Megatron is?
No, he played him in a movie, and he said he still doesn't know who Megatron is.
That's kind of hilarious. But, I mean, I wouldn't... I don't know. Transformers was, like, after his time, and I'm sure he didn't give a shit about the toys.
But I feel like there's, like, a few people that, like, everybody knows about, like, Skeletor, Megatron, Darth Vader. Like, they're
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They fight Shredder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
D, you're referring to D.
Yeah. Back to Lord of the Rings. So, Chris, what do we know about this city? I don't remember it in any of the movies. Do you?
I don't think it comes up in the original trilogy. What is the Star Wars?
I mean,
in the trilogy.
I think it will be.
At this point, it is the original trilogy, because then you have the Hobbit trilogy, and now you have the TV series.
And
We don't talk about the Hobbit.
And I have a good feeling that now that Amazon of all people has this franchise under their belt and like has access to most of it, they don't have all the books. I have a feeling that this will be our future. This is the show that we'll enjoy, and then later down the line, hundreds of years from now, we'll be like, man, there is a lot of Lord of the Rings content, huh?
I mean, yeah, there always was. It was just in the books, and like Tolkien would just like say things off the cuff, similar to J.K. Rowling, but less transphobic, about how like things existed in the universe. It's like, oh yeah, Silmarillion this and the jewels and whatever, and then it's like, oh, that's canon, and the enthusiasts of the time would write it all down, and now I guarantee you, there is just countless pages and pages and pages of lore.
I was saying more that in the future, you're going to, like 10 years from now, we're going to be like, there's a lot of movie and TV content, and it's like, I think that...
Well, yeah, and my point was that there's just so much written content to pull from that you can create entire universe. Like, the movies were really good adaptations, but there's like...
There's parts left out.
Tom Bombadil was like a huge part of the Fellowship book. He's not even in the movies. Like there's huge pieces of those books that never made it on screen, and now Amazon's got it all.
I'm more pointing out that this is the thing in 10 years where people are going to talk about like Star Wars fatigue and superhero fatigue, and I have a feeling that Lord of the Rings fatigue has not really ever been a thing because we've gotten Lord of the Rings stuff so like spread out, and now Amazon has it, and this show looks like it's gonna do really well, and I feel like eventually it'll hit that.
I feel like we haven't gotten it spread out. Those movies originally came out a year after each other.
Sure,
it was 01, 02, and 03.
But I'm saying it was those three movies, and then all the way up until The Hobbit, really.
Yeah.
Like, outside of, like, video games and stuff.
Because Peter Jackson was like, great, I had an awesome trilogy. Time to go do other things, because that's how the world works.
Have you ever seen images of him on the set of The Hobbit?
No.
He looks so sad all the time.
Yeah.
And apparently he was not a big... listen, the Hobbit movies are bad for the simple reason that they made Ian McKellen cry. That's a whole story that he told.
Yeah, Ian McKellen cried when he was sitting at a green screen table.
And,
to talk to hobbits.
And if you make Ian McKellen cry, your movie's instantly already bad.
Yeah. Old men crying is just bad for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But, so Galadriel is now stuck in Numenor?
Numenor.
Like a...
You still got
Numenor.
Numerator. She's in the city Numerator, which is fucking huge, and they're just this giant island city in the middle of the ocean with Middle Earth way off to the east and the Elven homelands way off to the west. And Galadriel's just like, well, fuck, what am I going to do here? And the sea captain's like, I can help you out with stuff. Let's go to the library. And they go to the library, and that's where they have the revelation that it's not a sigil, it's a map. And Sauron's going to come back in Mordor. Because
they spend 30 whole minutes getting the library card, checking out the catalogs.
Yes, they had to go through the process and talk to the librarian, and it was a mess.
It's actually the reason this episode's 70 minutes long.
Meanwhile, Harlan goes to vocational school. Or at least tries to.
He tries to be a smith, and they're just like, no, man, unions, you can't break the union laws or you're a fucking scab. And then he's like, shit. And then he goes and pisses off some guys that are in the union, and he tries to steal the badge, and that doesn't work, and he gets fucking punched.
I'm starting to like this guy, though.
And then he gets arrested by the cops.
He's Aragorn.
Sure.
No, like he is.
Yeah, I know.
Because she's like, oh, I read about your family, and you're the king that should be in the Southlands, uniting all the families. And it's like, okay, he's literally Aragorn, just without the elf blood and not actually being like 75 years old. Like, he's literally Aragorn. They just put him in this show.
At the same time, though, he's got like this whole thing where, like, I feel like his whole character is just like conflict prevention, where he's like, people confront him about things and he just goes, I don't want to deal with this, and he tries to he tries to just like talk his way out of it. He buys everybody drinks just so they don't like beat the shit out of him.
I mean, that's what Aragorn would have done too.
I guess.
If you think back to the movies, Aragorn was like, I don't want to be king, I'm gonna go be a ranger, bye. And he just is a ranger.
That's fair. I feel like I saw him originally, and I was like, I don't know if this guy's going to be any interesting to me. He kind of seemed like, and Aragorn's very much this too, of like every sort of like brown-haired tough guy.
Oh yeah,
protagonist character, and I was like, that's what this guy's going to be. And so far, I'm liking him still, though.
You also, like, you need a human.
The alley fight scene was pretty dope.
The fight scene was awesome. Like, his little hand-to-hand combat bit was great. But, like, you do need a human in any sort of high fantasy show like this. Because,
grounded a little.
Yeah, you got to keep it grounded. You got to give the viewer someone to, like, be able to empathize with, kind of thing. Because it's like, Galadriel is, I don't even know how old at this point, and she looks like she's 24. And she still has hundreds of years to go until she's like the crazy lady in the forest giving out vials of light to Frodo. Like, there's a lot in an elf's life. I can't relate to that. Just can't. All right. I want my life to end as soon as possible.
Are you okay? Everything fine?
Good point, Jeff.
Hey!
We definitely
the podcast.
need more cishet white guys to relate to.
Hey! End the podcast. Hey, Jeff. Hey, you okay? You doing okay?
Shut up. But no, it's good to have a nice human character. It's good that he's actually deeper than just, oh, fuck you, elf, I'm gonna go do things and relax in this city. And then it's like, no, he's actually got a quest, and a destiny that he probably has to fulfill.
And listen, I've played a lot of D&D. There's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to be a king. I feel like everybody's made that character one time where they're just like,
you have a destiny, but you don't want to admit to it, so that you can reluctantly accept it and then be heralded as a hero instead of just an arrogant prick. Yeah, I know. I'm well aware. It's a tried and true trope for a reason. Everybody loves it.
That's the only character Jeff likes to play as.
I always play as the sarcastic bard mostly. So, you know, that I always go into D&D and I'm like, I'm going to roll a new character. Nah, it's always a bard. And I'm always the asshole of the group. That's always my fucking shtick, you know, because I just want to be an asshole to you guys in real life. This gives me a window to do it without you guys hating me for it. Plus chips and salsa. Anyway, Chris, anything else you want to comment on in this episode? I know we didn't really talk about the Harfoot shit, but like there isn't much to talk about except that they all figured out Crazy Man exists, and I was going to help them migrate.
It's weird, too, because I don't know exactly how to talk about it in a podcast form, because, like you said, it is just sort of character stuff, and it's not real eventful. I do like all these characters.
There's no one that I hate. There's no section where I'm just like, oh, I wish I didn't see this. Plus, the chick who plays Nori in real life, she's fucking smoking hot, so, like, I'll keep watching her on screen. Fuck it. I immediately.
Thanks for the input, Jeff.
Yeah, go follow her on Instagram, and you know.
No.
Okay, or don't. You know, whatever. But yeah, there's not a character I don't like watching, and that wasn't the case in Game of Thrones, which everyone loves to draw parallels to. Like in Game of Thrones, there's plenty of characters where I'm just like, ugh, skip please. But no, Game of Thrones, I'm like, oh cool, the Harfoot stuff, that's awesome.
You mean Lord of the Rings?
Yes, thank you. But in Lord of the Rings, I'm like, oh, cool, the Harfoot stuff's happening. Awesome. Oh, cool, Arendir's back, and we're going to see some more orc shit. That's great.
Yeah,
Or, oh, the elf shit, Galadriel. Awesome.
One of the big reasons for my thumbs up is all of the characters that I was kind of saying were boring last time are
Now exciting.
interesting this time, yeah.
Yes. It just took a while to get their footing. And I'm wondering if that's like a drawback of the series, because like this episode was 70 minutes, and realistically,
We're
not a
still
whole lot,
in the setup, yeah.
Yeah, not a whole lot happened. Like in the grand scheme of things. Galadriel landed in a new city, and she's trying to scheme her way out. She made a new friend in the captain, and the Harfoots are migrating with the help of a stranger man.
Right.
That's kind of all the new stuff, and Arendir and his orc stuff. But like that, there's not a whole lot in the world that happened yet, and we are a good almost 300 minutes deep in this world.
But on the flip side of that, like, if you think about that in context to the original Lord of the Rings movies,
Most of Fellowship is set up.
Yeah, we're about what, like an hour. We're like what?
Are we
3.5
using
hours
extended
in?
edition math?
Something like that. I'm saying that like I guess what I'm trying to say is if you look at Lord of the Rings entirely and you're going into this show and you're just like, man, I hope this isn't long and dragged out, like, it may not be the series for you.
I think you're watching the wrong franchise.
Maybe you should watch House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, very famous for being drawn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But being really good despite it.
yeah, I just didn't want my own personal biases to color anything, because, like, famously, I love the Matt Reeves Batman movie, and I've watched it 4 times, and that's 12 hours of my life that I'm never getting back. That's half a day in my life that I'm not getting back. I don't regret it, but, like, I love slow burn stuff like that. And this is very much that. It's a very slow burn. In fact, I don't think the candle's even lit yet.
Have you actually talked about how much you like Matt Reeves' Batman on this podcast?
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Troy. So Matt Reeves' Batman is the greatest Batman movie of all time. I don't have anything else to add about this episode. Troy, do you?
Once again, incredible makeup and effects on the orcs. This is the first time, like, we saw them last episode, but this time, like, there were a lot of them very
no
front and
CGI
center.
orcs, man.
I like.
Yeah, I kind of want to pull up like a side by side of the orcs from the original
I'm
movies.
I'm gonna say it
and
right now.
ones from now.
I think that some of them look better.
Okay,
I also.
that's a high fucking
I
standard.
think
clear.
one of the reasons is they also sort of they took some inspiration off of like Shadow or Mordor orcs. So like they all kind of have like personality built into their like costumes and everything. Like I feel like if we kept watching the show, you'd be able to be like, I know that orc's name, and like Lord of the Rings, very difficult to figure out which one's which. And like the costumes are all really 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 cool. I think this is the most nitpicky thing of all time, just to make it seem like we're not completely gushing over this whole series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll gush over it.
Oh yeah, no, I am too. I thought this was funny when I was watching
I'll push ropes all over it.
Big metal ropes. When they slit the first elf's throat in the orc camp, that did not seem like a whole lot of blood for him to lose and then die. Like, I know that they're not going for, like, gory Game of Thrones stuff. I was like, oh, man,
that warg ate a couple elves.
100%.
We saw chunks taken out of bodies.
I feel like if that didn't happen, I would have been less about it. But, like, I feel like he got, like, a really bad paper cut and then died.
Yeah.
I mean, orcs, very well known for having very sharp knives that leave very clean cuts, right?
Also very well known for their
I'm
restraint.
being heavily sarcastic.
Their restraint and their lack of brutality.
Yeah, totally. It did seem in character, though, that they would reward strength-among prisoners with water. Mm-hmm. That seemed in character for orcs, and I was like, yeah, they would probably do something like that. I mean, they're going to kill you later, but, take the water. And then sure enough, somebody gets his fucking throat cut, and I'm like, all right, yep.
Because they love fucking with people.
Yep. Yep. Orcs love fucking with people.
It was interesting that there's like 2 whole subplots that they never cut back to in this episode.
Oh yeah, the dwarves and Celebrimbor and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, there's
and the woman and her son. But who cares about Theo because he's a bitch.
yeah.
Little fucking bitch boy.
I'm completely okay with that because of the amount.
Let's get a warg in that subplot.
The amount of content we got in the other ones, though, like I'm completely okay with that, and just like put that on ice for a minute.
Sure.
And then we can have like a whole Celebrimbor episode, and then we can go back and have a whole, Galadriel episode. Or whatever.
And like I said, this episode is 70 minutes.
Yes, it is a lot. So I'm perfectly okay with that. But again, I love slow burn shit. Bring it on, bitches. Bring it the fuck on.
Yeah. Speaking of slow burn and tying it back to the comparison with House of the Dragons, do you think that like House of Dragons will have like a good start and hopefully a good finish?
If they're smart, they have the whole story written
series.
out before they start. But who knows?
But could it be that because this show is a slow burn, over time this will be the better show?
I want to believe that's true. Also, just because Amazon Originals have yet to let me down, Invincible and The Boys were so fucking amazing that I'm willing to just go full hog on anything that Amazon gives me. HBO, especially Game of Thrones, I've been burned. I'm hesitant to say.
Yeah, so was King's Landing. They got burned pretty hard.
Yeah, no kidding. But I'm willing to give it a shot. And if they do right by the fans in House of the Dragon, then they're gonna have millions of dollars in merch and whatever coming their way, and that's great. But I think as far as like the legs of a series go, Lord of the Rings, if done right, will definitely be more profitable and probably be better in the long run, as long as they don't fuck it up. Because as soon as you fuck it up and the fans get pissy, they'll probably just destroy you. Which, I mean, they started to. I don't know if you guys remember when the show came out, IMDb had to lock reviewing because they just kept getting review bombed.
Oh yeah, people were real upset that some of the Harfoots were people of color.
Which, by the way,
which is the dumbest fucking argument.
Chris, it's even dumber than you think because in the Silmarillion and a bunch of books and everything, apparently it says that the Harfoots are usually darker skinned than the other type of Hobbit type races.
I brought this up in the last episode we recorded as
so
well.
It's accurate to the books too, and also they're mad.
Yeah, also Arondir being a, not a white elf. People were like, oh, what?
Black dwarves is a problem too.
It's like, guys, it's fucking high fantasy.
But also, House of the Dragon got a little bit of that too, because they had, what did they have? They had Black Targaryens, and people were very, very mad about that. Almost like there's a pattern to this.
Yeah, racism sucks.
I don't know if that's it. I feel like there's got to be something though. It's on my. It's weird. I don't know. Weird stuff.
Let me put on my thinking hood and figure it out.
Why is your thinking hood so pointy?
That's a terrible.
Jeff, put down the tiki torch.
let me take off these khakis and this blue polo. Put all my guns away real quick.
You're Assault Rifle 15?
If anyone asks, I was at your house all day on January 6th.
Oh my god!
But you weren't though. I thought we were gonna do a podcast, and you said you were busy that day.
Shut the fuck up,
FBI, please, FBI agent.
That was a joke. It's all a joke.
I voted for Biden. Get off my
for
back.
For all legal purposes, Jeff is not involved in January 6th. He was nowhere near the Capitol.
No, I was actually at work.
Please don't come after us.
I remember being at work and my phone going off with my New York Times notifications, and it was like, well, our country's under attack. That was a fun day at Wawa.
I was really annoyed because it was the day after my birthday, and I wake up to that. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Happy birthday.
Here's your present.
Happy birthday to me. Fuck.
Yeah, that was a wild ride.
My birthday, Stan Lee died, so,
Yeah. My little sister's birthday, Robin Williams died.
No.
Yeah.
You got any bad
People
birthdays?
need to stop having birthdays.
My birthday is also the anniversary of the founding of the U.S. Marine Corps.
It's pretty bad.
Pretty bad. All right, that's it. We're done. We're
Hold up. Which one of you was born the 11th?
neither of us.
It's 10th and 12th.
Damn it.
It was Skyrim, actually. You're thinking about Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim was November 11th, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh wait, that's right. You guys aren't in November.
We are in November. You're completely wrong.
Chris, I'm going to cut you off right there because we got one more thing to do before this podcast ends, and that is the letter grade. Because every 3 episodes of a TV show, we give it a letter grade based on how it's doing. Something a little more nuanced, a little more better than just good versus bad in the internet world.
But
What?
But Jeff, in the internet, things are only good or bad.
I know, but we're also...
How can we have shades of gray?
The internet isn't listening to the end. We're good.
The internet doesn't stop stupid, but we can certainly try. Anyway, so letter grades are a bit more nuanced, a bit better, and I'm going to let Troy go first because I made Chris go first the first time.
I'm going A.
You're going A?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I think so far it's
90% or above, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's not an A+. It's not blown, like, completely... Like it's not the best show I've seen even this year, but I can't really find anything glaringly wrong with it at all. It looks beautiful. It's actually one of the best looking shows that we've probably covered.
That happens when you give people a blank check.
Yeah, everybody's doing well. Like I said, all the characters that I thought were boring originally are now no longer boring, except for Theo because he wasn't in this episode. And it's a very, very slow burn, but I can personally get over that pretty quickly, and hopefully it continues to... when we get to the really, really great stuff, that's when it hits the plus.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
I'm going to give it a B+ with the understanding that I don't go out of my way to watch a lot of TV and movies, so if something's an A, it's something that I... I'm going to watch regardless of where it is or what else I'm doing.
Absolutely. Chris is very much a hermit, and he does not ever leave his house or go out of his way to do anything unless it is the best ever.
Chris is the Tom Bombadil of the podcast.
I like to sit in the middle of a room and stare at the wall for a couple hours and then die.
And then you go to bed and wake up. All right. I am also going to be similar to Chris. I'm giving it a B. Maybe a B- ish. I'm not completely sold. That's a lie. I'm very much sold in a lot of these characters, but I do want to hold off on giving it too much of a blank praise kind of thing. I don't know. I like it. I really do like it, but it's not like, oh, it's Friday, gotta watch Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as it hits that, then I'm gonna give it an A. But until that point, it's gonna sit at like a B.
Interesting.
B for me. All right, that is the end of our show today. I want to thank my buddies for being here. Chris, thank you so much for being here, even though you're on the other side of the fucking world. Troy, thank you for being here, even though you live on the other side of the Delaware River, and I live here, so I thank me for being here.
I'm also on the other side of the table right now.
And thank you all for listening to this wonderful episode of the podcast. If you liked what you heard, please leave us a kind review on your favorite podcasting platform. Like, subscribe, all those things. And that's it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.